I feel like I'm gonna need more of these.
DC just released its fifth attempt at a cinematic universe, and let's just say the cinematic universe is still not good. Now, Man of Steel was, I guess, okay, and then you have Batman vs. Superman, which was not that good either. Suicide Squad was a terrible movie. Wonder Woman was alright, a possible glimmer of hope, and Justice League has kind of brought us back down to that little midpoint of why is DC trying this? Now, this movie isn't all bad. It's actually kind of okay sometimes. But the main problem is all these big characters are here and introduced, and they're kind of just given this lackluster opening. The Justice League is supposed to be this big, awesome team, and their opening movie is eh? Okay, in all seriousness, I'm gonna finally start with pros and cons of this movie, officially starting with what I actually like. The pros. The cast. Now, the cast is actually not bad. I mean, it's thanks to movies like Batman vs. Superman and Wonder Woman that we know Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot can be Batman and Wonder Woman. But it's the new guys that honestly steal the show. Ray Fisher is good as Cyborg, Urza Miller works as Flash, and Jason Momoa is amazing as Aquaman. He was probably my favorite in the movie. Now, the writing does fail these characters at many moments, but when the actors are genuinely playing themselves, they're having a lot of fun. Urza Miller, you can tell, is enjoying being Flash, Jason Momoa as well, and Ray Fisher is a good cyborg. Like I said, the new guys really steal it. They like these characters and they're playing them well. And it's good to see the back and forth they have. Now, it doesn't always work, but when it works, it's nice to see. I really did enjoy the cast of this movie, and with better writing and direction, they could make a great Justice League movie just with this cast. The sets, I think. Now, this movie has nice set design at moments, and if you read DC Comics, it's honestly nice to see how well they designed some of these areas. Now, I'm not going to go into details because it could be potential spoilers, but there are places they show that I genuinely liked seeing, and I thought, you know what? They built the sets well. But sadly, that's for a minority of the film, and most of the places felt very generic. The end. Now, the end of this movie was actually enjoyable. Now, this isn't some joke where, oh, the credits rolled in and I was like, thank God this movie's over. No, the final act, the final battle, the final 20 minutes really, are really enjoyable, actually. It's when the cast works together the best, it's when the characters feel natural, and it's when the action works the most. It's genuinely fun to watch the final 20 minutes of this movie, even if the epilogue kind of ruins some of it. But still, I have to give it, the last 20 minutes are just great to watch, for the interactions between the characters at least. Now it's time for what I didn't like. Cons. Everything else. Now, I'm not joking when I say this, but everything else with this movie is just wrong. From the writing, to the editing, to the look, to the sound mixing. First off, I'm going to start with the writing. The plot is very bare bones, which honestly I expect for a superhero movie these days. I don't expect anything great, but I expect enjoyable at least. But no, the writing is just not there. The character interactions aren't that good for most of the movie. The dialogue is not funny and honestly just kind of makes me bored more than anything. The characters are poorly introduced too. Okay, we get it. Barry misses his dad. Cyborg doesn't like being a cyborg. Aquaman wants to be alone. And when everyone's introduced, it's just so poorly done. The pacing, if I can say anything, is at least fast. It doesn't stay anywhere too long, although there does seem to be padding in some scenes. Although it's forgivable, but just because it's fast doesn't mean it's enjoyable. It's very boring to watch. It's basically just, we're here one scene, something happens, let's go to the next scene, and you feel nothing for what's going on. I feel nothing for the sense of urgency, and I feel nothing for the impending doom that's coming in this movie. I just felt bored throughout it. The pacing did not help at all. The action is also a big red flag. Now, some of the action is actually well shot and fun to watch, but a lot of the action is poorly done because they overuse slow-mo. Wonder Woman's pretty fast, so whenever she's fighting, it's like, oh, we gotta slow things down so people can be like, oh, it's Wonder Woman. And whenever Flash is on screen trying to fight, it's a big mess where they slow everyone else down and just put poor lightning effects everywhere. Oh god. Not to mention, the CGI is not good. Now, it's not as bad as it was in the trailers, but it's still not enjoyable, and most of the time it's a visual eyesore. It gives you a headache at moments. Also, the villain is terrible. The villain is the most cut, dry, copy and paste villain ever. Do I have an interesting backstory? No. Do I have any character development? No. Am I somewhat enjoyable to watch? No. Do I go away when plot reasons happen, but do I allude to a bigger villain? Yes, because we need to make a goddamn sequel. Oh my god, do I have issues with this movie. But a lot of my issues also stem from post production. This movie is not well edited. It's very just jarring to watch sometimes when they cut from scene to scene, and it honestly gives you kind of a headache at moments. Not to mention, the sound mixing is terrible. There are moments when you can't hear the main characters because the score or the sound effects are just too big. I can't hear actual dialogue because they had to make explosions sound huge, or they had to make the score give you a goddamn earache. Oh my god, this movie has a lot of issues. But like I said earlier, it's just boring. Its biggest crime is that it's boring. Things go too fast for any actual emotional investment to stay, and the writing does not draw you to these characters. The cast do save some moments, but overall it's just boring to watch. And that makes it really hard to recommend in the end because you're kind of just sitting down for close to 2 hours while you watch the Justice League try to be cool. And that hurts because I do genuinely like the characters and wish they had a better movie. Well, that's enough of that. Before I give this movie my final rating, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of my rating scale for movies. I have it on the screen right now. Now, I include negative numbers because some movies are so bad they're good, but it's hard to rate them with traditional ratings, so that's why they're there. Now, I know this seems like a ripoff of Jello Apocalypse, and honestly it kind of is, but you know what? Their scale works very well, including the negatives. So you know what? Why can't I do it? So yeah, there's a quick rundown. Negatives is so bad it's good. And when it comes to positive numbers, 5 is in the middle, not good, not bad. Anything below 5 is when movies start getting bad, and above 5 is when movies start getting good. So you can see that clearly. Now for Justice League, as I said earlier, its biggest crime is that it's boring, which is very sad. But a boring movie is not bad or good. It's just kind of there. You watch it, time goes by, and you just wonder, I guess I didn't hate that. But with Justice League, I originally was going to rate it a 5 out of 10, but the last 20 minutes do save it for me and make it genuinely enjoyable to watch. But it's too little too late, and honestly, when you compare it to the rest of the movie, it doesn't save it a lot. So its final rating is a 5.5. A little above the middle, but still not good. But hey, it's probably gonna make a bunch of money anyway, right? Oh no.